Thank you. How are you doing?
Good. Good to have you here.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great really to have you and your
crew.
crew.
Nice environment here, Coach.
Thank you, and always tell us what we need to do to look better.
That should be what?
Yeah, we want to always look better than what we are today. So
I should give you feedback.
So always give us feedback, and for us, feedback should be both positive and then negative, and we pick it well in very good faith.
Congratulations on your appointment as assistant coach of the Black Stars.
Oh, thank you.
Did you see that coming?
You just need to be working and then allow the system to decide.
But just this answer is quite an interesting one. You keep working and allow the system to decide. I remember you and I had a conversation that was around the COVID time. I asked you this question, whether you could manage the Black Stars, and you said already.
I remember very well.
You said,
I remember. I said every Ghanaian coach is a potential Black Stars coach, and so you just need to be working and wait for the right moment.
The moment is here?
The moment has always been around, but you just need the right timing, and the timing is really very key. If it is not the right time, you might get things very wrong. But I think that we are in it, and trying to do always you can always do your best, and as our dear president said, you should not be on the fence, just looking at what is happening, but you should be a citizen, and a citizen means that you should be fully involved towards the nation building contribution, and I think that our contribution is to always serve to the best that we can. Always you can always do what you can, but the ones that you cannot, you have absolute no control over. And so these are principles that has been supporting and then guiding me around the lines.
I really understand. But your life journey, how did it start out?
I was really born in a football home. My late dad, George Didi Dramani, was a coach and became an astute sports administrator. And they were the few that were identified by the late Almighty Ohinijan. And together with together with Ben Kofi, Asibi Boachi, Nanan Ketia, and George Dasobri, and a few others, who had the opportunity of traveling across the world to understudy various models of sports operations. And he was more a football inclined, but they were modeled to specialize in various areas, but they were very astute football administrators. So, and then he rose up to become the acting chief executive of the National Sports Council, and also became the general secretary of the Ghana Football Association during the reign of Nana Butler and my uncle, the late Alaji MND Jaula. And and in view of this, I had the opportunity of traveling across the country, a civil servant, always being on the transfers, Bolga, Tamale, Accra, across the country. So at least I knew many regions before even football took me around. And so this is the home that I came from, and you can imagine. But I actually started very early playing Coles football right away from Bolga. If you heard about Abuba Tanda Seydou, former RTU player, became Hasselhoff player, and I played with him in Soccer Masters in Bolga. So I started schooling in Bolga, and I played for Soccer Masters, and then we were transferred to Tamale, and so I was actually born in Tamale, and then went to but we went to Bolga, and then I started playing in Bolga, and then we came back to Tamale, and then I played for House Babies, and and House Babies. Gago also played in House Babies, but I was an older player in that squad. And so Eduse identified me, Coach Ike Eduse. He identified me, so he's always been my mentor. And then he introduced me to Tamale United in '83, so very early.
Oh, then you started.
Yes, very early. I was very young, and then playing in the den, then under 20s, the very pronounced under 20s that was instituted at that time, and across the premier teams. Yeah. So every premier team had an under 20, and we played.
Even used to play the reserve league.
Yes, and then it was after this that the reserve league also came up. Okay. You know, the reserve league used to be in place those years, and then the under 20s came. You know, the main focus was directly on the youth players of the various premier teams, and then after some time. I think in '86 I was promoted to the first team. I was the captain of the under 20 side of RTU, and then I was promoted to the first team, and then after some time, '89 I became the captain, and until I left, you know, RTU to Cape Coast Ebusian, and I just felt to have a change of environment, because I had served, you know, for long. In that capacity and in that region, and I just felt that I needed to have a change of. So I played for Doas from '93 till '98, and then I went back to RTU 1998 to 2000, and then I went to the university in 2001. And along these lines, I was playing football, you know, in my school days from primary to JHS.
All the way to the university?
Yeah, all the way to the university. In the university, I was playing and coaching as well. And
so you combined
yes.
School, playing, and then coaching?
Yes, but I started really with my coach club, House Babies. And it was a funny way to transit into that field, because I went to watch their game, and I found out that the centre back stayed too far from the team. Yeah. And I was asking him to move further up the field, and then I tend to ask myself, are you fair to this player, because he doesn't know you, and then he has his own coaches, so how do you just tell him
come in and say
move in and yeah. So I felt guilt of myself, so I decided to go to their training subsequently, and then that was just history, because I changed a lot of things. I put some structures. Even by then, I was just a trainer. I wasn't a coach, because I was not trained.
That was quite an
yes. But I put in some structures. I put in some model in terms of how I appreciated football. You know, the way you appreciate football is by virtue of your experiences.
Yes.
So maybe you appreciated counter-attacking, maybe you appreciated speed attack, maybe you appreciated, possessive play. And so that will inform you to begin to create certain principles. Even at that time, I created principles because you needed something that your players will rely on. You needed a certain guide. You needed a certain way of defending. You needed a certain way of constructing your attack. So in view of you needing something to be defined of who you are, you've put in place some principles. So even at that time, I put in some principles, so they knew how we're training. We train just as we want to play in the games, and they knew how we did things, how I wanted my player to behave on the pitch and off the pitch. I started to institute these things unknowingly, and unknowingly, honestly. Yeah. And then, but I was very, very deliberate. I was very consistent, and I created a sense of patience around the players, just to.
But who allowed you to get close to the players?
Because this club was my former coach club that I served for a longer time.
Okay.
And so
you were more of a family member.
Yes, a former member, and then they also knew that I played to the highest level, and so definitely you have an input to make, and definitely they don't have claimed coaches around, and then so if you volunteer your time and energy and resources, to do it. And I remember those times. Sometimes when we have games, I have to ask my wife to cook you know, from my basic small salary from my teaching field, you know, I still, you know, invested because I knew nutrition was very important. You know, even at that time, I just knew that they needed to have a certain way of livelihood to be able to comprehend what you want them to do. So you need to begin something.
The food will really serve as motivation.
Absolutely. And then and also, you know, we needed to input them a certain way of life to appreciate that, you know, hydration is important. You know, they need to bring some water along. You know, because I knew I couldn't do it all, so I needed to act in a certain way of, you know, fathering them in that way. And so that was how all the coaching interests, and you know, you need to have the interest first, and then the commitment will come, and then you can say you become more a professional in that context. So this is how it came. And so in 2001, I enrolled into the University of Winnipeg. So and on the vacation of the first semester, that was 2002, I had the GFA putting in place the 5-year development plan by Uncle Ben Kofi. May his soul rest in peace. And that was the reign of Mr. Kwesi Nyantechi. So I went to do administration. You know, it was to lay the.
You wanted to follow the path of your father?
In fact, I just thought that the coaching that I knew was higher than what they were coming to do. That was my impression. Because when they said basic, I said, if it's basic, I felt, I knew I had a certain level of knowledge of the game, because I spoke a lot with my late dad about coaching. Things that I knew from my father at that time, still today they are still modern matters, and we spoke more technical, even though I was not a trained coach by then. So when I went to think that I rather need administration, and then Uncle George Dasobri, Ima's father, and he
became a young secretary of the
yes, he knows me very well. You know they are like a family. The 7 guys that went to that Ohinijai took to Europe and America. He said, "What are you doing here?" And he was the lecturer in the administration class. He said, "No, you belong to football, to coaching. Go to the coaching class." So I went to the coaching class, and Uncle Ben was the one instructing, and he didn't know me at that time. And I didn't introduce myself to him. So, but he realized that, and then in their conversation, you know, break conversation, he was talking about a student who is almost answering every question. And then Mr. Dasobri said, "This might be my son." You know, he preempted that it might be me.
Yeah, it's possible.
And so after that, I did so well. You know. It was done in all the regions of Ghana, and it was geared towards bringing sports, football administration, refereeing, coaching, physiotherapy, and then sports science, and then laying of junior structures, so that these coaches and then other components that have been trained will have the chance of, you know, youth teams around U12, U15, U17. So predominantly, I was made the regional coach of the 5-year development plan. Yeah. So in Tamale, I was the coach. So I gathered a lot of, you know, and one of them is Baba Rahman.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, Baba Rahman is your product?
Yes.
Oh, I see.
So we put both boys and girls together, and then sometimes they are over 100, and then I train them before they break into their clubs, and it was to do this. And once doing this, I was still teaching in the senior high school.
Which school were you teaching?
I taught in my posting was Kumbungu Secondary School, but I did my internship in Ghana School.
Oh, okay.
And then when I came, my posting was in Kumbungu, and it's like Ghana School wanted me, so they gave me assurance. Everyone wanted an elite coach, and then it's like. And then when I went to report my new establishment, the headmaster was my former geography master from Business Secondary School, Tamale.
Ah, so you went to B school?
Yes, I went to school. And then he was like, Mashood, can you be in my school because you are an elite guy and then you are brought to this village? I said, Master, once you are here, why not? I will also contribute.
Yeah.
So I devoted time for them and then I changed so many things there. I really did well. They didn't have an athletic oval, they didn't have a football pitch, and it was all clouded with trees.
Yeah.
We uprooted the trees and then we set up an oval and I did my best there.
Oh.
And then once in the university, I had an encounter. I went to train and I saw a group of players training and very quiet on the pitch. I said, who are these?
They should be talking to each other.
But there was nothing like that. And it's like they were always signing.
Which university was that?
University of Education, Winneba.
Oh, okay.
And it's Winneba branch.
Yeah.
And it's, I did HIPES there.
Yeah.
HIPES is health, physical education, recreation and sports.
Oh, okay.
And they were just playing and the place was quiet. I said, oh, what am I seeing? What is happening? They were always signing. This was the deaf football team, the national deaf football team. So I became enthused, and I'm always trying to help in the schools. Yes, I always want to support, schools. I want to support, community. I want to, always helping out something. So I went closer and I asked, who are these? And then I helped them. So I went to my cubicle and they followed up to say they have a game against Nigeria and they want to invite me to become their coach.
You didn't have a coach?
No. So I voluntarily went to give out my best.
So how were you able to communicate with them?
I started learning how to sign.
Oh.
Because they were teaching me and I could sign. Those times I could sign. And then I knew everyone's name by signing. And they will always look at me because they knew I was going to communicate.
So you've been the coach of deaf and
yes. So you can imagine those years when they said, where are you coach? You can imagine. and sometimes I tell them, look, me, my coach is a mumpo.
I'll come to that.
Yes.
Or I'm not coach.
Yes.
That story. We've got,
yeah. So these moments, I had in plan that what will I do to be able to facilitate my quick development and progress in the coaching industry. So Mufta, what came into my mind was that then I have to put in place a club. I have to create something because in my locality, and I stayed in Kukuo in Tamale.
Okay.
Each time the politicians come and they organize football games, I'll just put them together, and I always want to create some structure. I want us to play in a certain way, and I could even scout from other communities and then
neighboring communities.
Yes, and then just to build a team, and we come out and we play with a certain discipline. So I thought that, no, why do everyone want to play in RTU? And RTU was the only club, and the next first division club was Nanuba National. Okay. In Bimbila, okay. Which was coached by Nasa, my very good friend. So I said no. Then the then GFA Executive Committee Chairman, Mr. Y.A. Ibrahim.
Yeah, Y.A. Ibrahim.
And I sold the idea to him, and he said, oh, let's put in place a club. So sometimes he will invite me to his place by then he was in Jamestown, the SEPS. Oh, okay. Then I'll go there, and then he gave me some balls and I started scouting with it, and then it further out. I'm just talking about how Guan United came about. And then I was just thinking, and then I was always talking with Abu Hassan Raizo, the Northern Regional RFA. And then he promised that, oh, I think the best thing is that we have to buy a bus. It's a good thing, I'll do this. And then it fizzled out. And I kept telling him that, I said, I think you have been supporting sports a lot in the region. You need to own a club. My passion was not to own a club. My passion was to put in place something and then have the chance of coaching
and help
the talents around. And then that one also fizzled out. And then my late dad, he said, don't give up. I know what you can do. Don't give up. He kept pushing me. So when I met, and then he met Alaji MND Jola, and then we were sitting, and I said, Chief, your friend is Isai Hayatu, and I know each time you go to Cameroon, he takes you to his club. I think that you've done so well for you deserve to have a club. So I've put in place this, and I want you to just be an owner of it, and then be our founder and everything. So that was how we got Gwan United. By then it was Lepo Stars.
It started as Lepo Stars.
Lepo Stars. So when he was going to be installed as enskined as the Lepora, and then I suggested to him that let's play a game against RTU, and that game ended 2-2 in Salaga, and that was the first time he saw the boys, and he realized that no, this I had a Seydou Salvu, I had a Kwame James Aban, I had a Issa Yakubu, I had Tia Zakari, I had all this and all these players,
they played in the Premier League.
Yes, I got. These were the guys that I started with, and so that was how this current Tamale City is now Tamale City. Gwan United is now Tamale City.
It has metamorphosed.
Yes, so that is how Lepo Stars became Gwan United, and then Tamale City. And before then, I had the opportunity of training as a coach in different environment. The CAF C license, and B license, A license. Became an instructor, became an elite instructor and assessor. Attended so many CAF programs with Uncle Ben Kofi, and then Uncle Osam Dodu, and then Otia Kenten. So for me, I was mentored by these great people.
So you learned the ropes.
Ben Kofi, Osam Dodu, Sam Ade, Otia Kenten, Mr. Ike Eduse, Mr. Afrani, Herbert Adu. So you can understand all these people. I had something.
These are revered.
Yes, I had something unique from each one of them, and then I had my own philosophy to build. So and that's why when I was in Kotoko, in my first year, can you imagine that Uncle Ben and then Osam Dodu, they came to visit me in Adako Dachi. And I remember when he came to see us training, and then when we finished, and then he had a talk with the players. He asked them, guys, is that how you guys train? And they said yes. And he said, then you have to win the league, because he said, I've never seen a team train like this. Very professional, very positive in their approach, very welcoming with great effort and energy. And that was the week we turned things around when we went to Pandu to win at.
I remember I watched that game on television actually. I remember that game. I watched that game on television. How did you always feel anytime they were saying that Kotoko is not a mad team and more of a coach?
I think that my first training session was a Thursday. You remember we met the then President of the Republic, Mr. John Dramani, when we came from the World Cup. And so that very day, I flew to Kumasi, and I had my first training session. And then I remember it was a Thursday. And then I remember when I was walking down to the pitch, and in the entrance, I saw an old Kotoko fan and I was in the shorts. And then I remember he said, "Hey, Akwa will beat me." I had this. So walking down, and then when I finished the session, and then when I got to him, I said, "Openi, Akwano, obey me." And then he said, "Obeya manabros." So these things were my initial point of talks and thoughts. So I had this in my mind always, that I needed to bring my full person. And when you are bringing your full person, it means you needed to have your confidence. And the only way you can have your confidence is when you have your full person, efforts and energy. Sometimes Dr. Honorable Pat will prepare a very good dish, and Doctor will walk to my bungalow and then come and sit with me and then tell me that, let's go, lunch is ready. and then we come there, and then we are eating, and I'm just thinking about training session. And so the way
as a human being, these things, were there moments to get your skin? As the fans,
yes.
at the point fans don't believe that this our coach can do it.
Yes,
even after you won the league.
Yes, you know, these things, when it happens, the only wrong you would think would have been done to you is when they ask you not to be on your pitch to train. That is when you don't have anything to be able to show as an edifice of what work you have done. So always the prayer was that once they talk and they don't stop you from what you are supposed to do. If they were stopping you from what to do on the pitch, then there you will not have anything to prove. But once they don't stop you from doing this, at the end, what happened?
Aston, were you scared of getting the sack?
No, not at all. No, I had at a point I was just saying to my, is it that they don't value what you are doing? Is it that? And then that was why I was thinking. I said that it means that it is important to build your own technical staff. Wherever you move with them. And I said no. Then I'll again answer myself, and I said no. Use the ones who are there, raise their capacity, let them create values for themselves, let them grow. So at the point I started pushing.
Was not with you.
I started putting them in the coaching courses, so that they can upgrade, and then so that they can think the way I see things. And I moved all of them, including Gordon Ablodi. Now he's an A license, Wellington, B license. I had
Henry Wellington? Or
Henry Wellington. Now with the summer test, right? I moved them to an appreciable level, and then later on, Michael Osei also, had an A license through the we will call it So once thinking about this, you were just thinking that no, they are not stopping you from training. Go on with whatever you think. At the end, you had majority of the players.
In the second season?
Yes.
I remember that was the
2014
season. I remember the pressure, massive pressure, because the season did not start well, actually. The season did not start well.
I think 2014 was really very good. 2012, 2013, I was away with the female team in the World Cup. So the season started, so I wasn't part of the... even though I was joining them in the preseason, intermittently.
Yeah, but I recall that there was this.
That was 2014, 2015.
2014, 2015.
Yes.
Because I recall that there was this article that came from Kotoko Express that at this point there's nothing they can do about you.
It's when we fail to have honest integrity. That's where these problems come.
Did that get to you?
The
whole Kotoko Express will go and publish an article about you.
But it showed how a thick skin I was, just a young guy, as I look like, and the whole, how can you have your own coach and then you decide not to protect your coach, and then you decide not to protect your brand. It's, Kotoko is a huge brand, and I have tried. You see that even all this time I have never spoken anything negative about Kotoko, because there were so many good things about Kotoko.
But were there also negative things?